My op-ed today over at HartmannReport.com is titled, "Will the new Illustrious Dunderheads lead us into World War III?" And for my 30th birthday, my father, who was a book collector, he had 20,000 books in our basement. In fact, when I was around 10 or 11 years old, I carved out a corner of the basement to have a bedroom because there were four of us, four boys in our family, and we lived in a three-bedroom house, which meant that, you know, the two kids' bedrooms were both bunk beds, and I wanted to get away from my brother and have some privacy. And so I carved out this bedroom in the basement out of bookshelves, my dad's bookshelves. And anyhow, for my 30th birthday, he gave me a book called The Illustrious Dunderheads by Rex Stout. Rex Stout was the #1 best-selling author in America in 1942. His detective series about Nero Wolfe, the Nero Wolfe detective series, had sold over 70 million copies in 1942 when he published The Illustrious Dunderheads. And The Illustrious Dunderheads contains several, I don't know if it's several hundred, but probably in the neighborhood of about 100 speeches, almost all by Republicans. There were a couple of Dixiecrats, but virtually all Republicans, saying things like this. This is from Tennessee Republican Representative John Jennings on July 14th, 1940. "Our enemies, the administration keeps telling the people, are Germany, Italy, and Japan. Not one of them, though, has made a gesture toward us. For all we think and feel about Hitler, he's not attacked us. But the American government has attacked Hitler, first by words, then by measures short of war, then by giving pledge to his enemies to assist them by all physical means to the utmost." Sound like an echo of J.D. Vance, for example, saying, you know, we shouldn't give any aid to Ukraine. Michigan Republican Representative Paul Schaefer, May 16, 1941. "I know of no member of this House, Mr. Speaker, who possesses the remotest idea that any of Hitler's panzer divisions are to strike in the desert of Arizona or on the sand stretches of the Mojave. How long are the American people going to be fed this stuff?" So last week, Marjorie Taylor Greene echoed those comments. She told reporters and then posted on Facebook, X, and Instagram, quote, "I wish the CIA cared about our own border security like they care about Ukraine's. I will not vote to fund the CIA's war with Russia, and the rest of my Republican colleagues should do the same. The U.S. Congress needs to focus and fix our own nation's problems." Right. Deja vu much? Back in 1940, Pennsylvania Republican Congressman Robert Rich told Congress, "Who's afraid of Hitler? He's not coming 3,000 miles across the Atlantic. He's not going to attack this country. We ought to have somebody in the White House who's friendly to all the people in the world if we want to be a good neighbor. Mr. Roosevelt has lost the confidence of most European nations." Right. And then 3 weeks ago, Putin-loving Senator J.D. Vance said at the Munich Security Conference, where in a shocking display of cowardice, he refused to meet with President Zelensky. He said, "The problem with Ukraine is there's no clear endpoint. Can we send the level of weaponry we've sent for the last 18 months? We simply cannot. No matter how many checks the U.S. Congress writes, we're limited there. I think what's reasonable to accomplish is some negotiated peace." In that, he was quoting Republican Congressman from Minnesota, Joseph O'Hara, in 1940, who said, "Anyone in this country will admit that the best chance of saving both England and some democracy in the world is for the United States to back England at the proper moment in a negotiated peace. There are times when there is only a choice of evils, and today the evil of accepting the fact of Nazi domination of continental Europe and England is less than the evil which is likely to result from encouraging England to continue indefinitely a hopeless fight until English liberties are destroyed either from without or from within." That was October 23rd, 1941. So here we've got now Republicans, Ron Johnson, "I don't think we should be sending more lethal aid to Ukraine." Ted Cruz, "I think it's a mistake to be sending billions of dollars in weapons to Ukraine." Josh Hawley, I'm not sure that sending more weapons is the answer." Marsha Blackburn, Republican Senator, "We need to have a clear understanding what the end game is." Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz, "I don't think we should be sending more weapons to Ukraine." Republican Senator Rick Scott, "We need to have a plan, and I don't see a plan yet." Republican Senator Mike Lee, "I'm not sure that sending more weapons is the answer." And it just goes on and on. I mean, I've got a whole list of them here. So this is, we're in this moment that is so characteristic, so identical to what was happening in the 1940s, in the early 1940s, before the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. Rex Stout, 1942. He said, "The American system of government itself is thus, according to the Nazi plan, made suspect in the eyes of its people. To underline the implications of the attacks on Roosevelt and the administration, Nazi fascist propagandists, and of course Republicans, suggest that the system of government itself is wasteful, incapable of decisive action in the world today. The United States is pictured as bankrupt, torn apart by financial chaos, its people pauperized, its activities paralyzed. The United States, Republicans say, is a vast concentration camp ground under the heels of Roosevelt tyranny, maintaining the access radios. The conclusion the Nazi fascists want the American people to reach is that the U.S. government and business system have broken down and must be replaced by a more efficient system. This is what Trump is saying. Rex Stout goes on to say it is the groundwork for the appeal to the American people to take their government back from those who have betrayed them. 1942, he was writing this. He said the Republicans are saying that the real enemy is within our own borders. This is the logical conclusion of the Nazi effort to convince Americans that the nation is torn apart by class warfare. And he goes on from there. I encourage you to read it. It's fairly shocking. I mean, the quotes from 1940 and 41, before Pearl Harbor, Republicans in Congress, saying, we love Hitler. Hitler's not going to attack us. Just let Hitler have England, are virtually identical to what Republicans in Congress right now are saying about Ukraine and Russia, the new fascist threat.